everybody, I'm Sarah and I'm a recorder player. One of my viewers recently asked me, can you play the flight of the Bumblebee on the recorder? And I was like, of course, you can play pretty much anything on the recorder. And the Flight of the Bumblebee by Rimsky-Korsakov is such a fun piece. I thought it would be really nice to do a short tutorial on how to play this on the recorder in 5 simple steps. And everything I say today is actually applicable to all instruments, so if you're here with your flute or your saxophone or violin or hurdy-gurdy, you can use this tutorial as well. The Flight of the Bumblebee is an orchestral interlude as part of an opera composed at the end of the 19th century, and it's meant to evoke a bumblebee going. And this piece has been arranged for pretty much every instrument combination because it's such a classic. It is meant to be with piano accompaniment. I don't have a pianist here with me today. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give a full performance of this. Yes. Step 1, relax. There are a lot of notes in this piece and it goes fast, but if you get stressed and your fingers tense up, then you're only going to make it much more difficult for yourself. My teacher used to say, cool mind, warm heart, and that's definitely what you need when you're playing this piece. We're going to get it so that you've practiced it so well in your fingers, your brain doesn't even need to worry. But this also goes for relaxation physically, so make sure before you practice or before you perform this that you're really physically relaxed, you've stretched out, you've warmed up your hands and arms, whatever you need to do to make sure you're physically and mentally in a good relaxed place, ready to play this. Step 2, the chromatic scale is everything. This whole piece is based upon a chromatic scale. That's going note by note in semitones. If you can't play your chromatic scale, you're gonna have a nightmare with this piece. There is no point starting this piece cold without practicing your chromatics first. It's only going to be really stressful. So we're going to put in the groundwork. Make sure you can play chromatic scales fluently before you get into this piece. Something that can really help is practicing the steps of the chromatic scale. For example, making sure each step is really comfortable, fluid, your fingers are moving together, you know which fingers are going up and down, there's no weird unnecessary tension, so that each step of the scale has become easy. The other great tip with chromatic scales is to have anchor points. If you just start off like, then it's really easy to lose your place. So I have an anchor point every 4 notes. Then you know that you're hitting. And so on. This seems like a lot of information and it kind of feels like I'm taking the fun out of this very fun piece, but really if you do your groundwork and preparation, practicing is going to go so much easier. Okay, you are a chromatic scale maestro. How to tackle it within the piece. The Flight of the Bumblebee is actually full of patterns. Once you look at it, there's not actually that much to practice at all. It's much simpler than it looks and sounds. Basically, you have 3 kinds of chromatics. You have ones that go down, you have ones that go up, and you have ones that turn around. Looking at the first phrase, in theory, once you've got this pattern, you could start it on any note. And then the turnarounds are things like, another phrase we have, so that's down, down, up and turn. And here our anchor points are just as important. that's nice to practice in that rhythm. So when you're going through the piece, you could also use colours to colour in. This is down, this is up, this is a turn, or use brackets or write it in. Whatever you can do to kind of figure out the structure of the piece, because then you're not learning it note by note by note, which becomes a massive labyrinth, but you've got really obvious patterns that you can just recognise and play. Tip 4, slow and steady wins the race. You can't play something fast until you can play it slow. That's just a fact. And actually something like this is a lot more difficult to play slowly. It's quite easy, to be honest, to bullshit and go and move around a lot and do like an important facial expression and everyone will be impressed. But you've not really got it under your fingers, have you? So take your time while you're practicing. It's about the journey, not the destination. That's incredibly cheesy, but it's true. It might take you ages to get this piece under your fingers, but it doesn't matter. Take your time. It can also really help to work with a metronome on a slow speed. The thing I notice with this piece is that I speed up when I'm practicing. That is the big danger. And while you're practicing it at this slow speed, you can make use of all different kind of rhythms. For example, dotted. Or turn that around. What were those notes? And number 5 is the breathing. Where do you breathe? When you've got it at this nice slow speed, you have the time to plan in your breaths. You have to practice your breaths like you practice your fingers, so you have to know exactly where they're coming. You don't actually need to blow a lot for this piece because it's much more about the effect than about having a beautiful solistic baroque sound. So I would take little short breaths that you've built into the music. And why not try it with circular breathing? If you're someone that can do that, that is also fine. The other thing is that this is a very fast piece, but that doesn't mean it has to be mechanical. A bumblebee, after all, is a living organism. This means that you can afford to shape the phrases, take a little bit of time to make a breath, and build it into the music that it sounds like it makes sense. And the other thing is that this piece is fun. It's not a serious, important piece of Bach. It is a fun and virtuosic thing that you can really afford to play around with a bit. I like to do some quite extreme dynamics. Or you could do some kind of Bumblebee-esque flutter tongue. After all, you are the soloist, so if you want to take it a bit to extremes, that's completely your prerogative. Okay, are we ready? I'm going to play the Flight of the Bumblebee. stressful piece to record. I have not done one perfect take, but whatever. In the description below, I've given links to 2 different versions that you can buy online. I've described a bit what they're like so you can work out which is more suitable for you. So that was it, my tutorial for Flight of the Bumblebee. I hope you find it useful and you enjoy doing some buzzing. As always, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face down here in the corner. Over here is a link to the Team Recorder Patreon where you can choose to support this channel, and up here is a link to my video on how to play all of the notes, because for this piece you might need it. Thanks for watching and have a great day.